this is April Lovvorn-Gerhardt, and here's my research exercise on contemporary figure artists. The 5 contemporary figure artists that I chose for this presentation are Alejandra Hernandez, Amy Sherald, Chantal Joffe, Jordan Castile, and Pamela Fatsimo Sundstrom. Alejandra Hernandez' key characteristics include symbolic figurative paintings exploring femininity, mythology, spirituality, and the natural world. Dreamlike compositions that merge the mystical with the everyday life, flattened pictorial space, vibrant color, and densely layered imagery, collaborative portrait process that creates intimate, personalized settings. Why I chose her, I'm drawn to the way she flattens the imagery so that the paintings almost resemble collages. Every object feels intentionally placed, and although compositions are crowded, they remain balanced and harmonious. And how I will apply her ideas. I'll experiment with flattening space to create layered collage-like compositions, build paintings through carefully arranged symbolic objects, balance dense compositions while maintaining visual harmony. And here's some examples of Alejandra Hernandez's work. The next artist I chose is Amy Sherald. Some of the key characteristics of her work include contemporary figurative portraits exploring identity, race, and representation, the use of grisaille to paint in shades of gray, shifting attention to the individuality of the sitter, bold color palettes, simplified compositions, and patterned textiles, quiet, dignified portraits with strong emotional presence. Why I chose her, I'm drawn to her bold use of color, simplified compositions, and patterned textiles. These choices create a quiet strength and subtle energy that make her portraits feel timeless and deeply personal. How I will apply her ideas by simplifying compositions to strengthen the focal point, explore bold, harmonious color relationships, and create portraits that emphasize emotional presence over literal representation. And here are some more examples of Amy Sherald's work. Next artist is Chantal Joffe. Some key characteristics include large expressive portraits with loose, intuitive brushwork, use of fashion, clothing, and pattern to shape the figure and suggest narrative, painterly surfaces that prioritize emotion over realism, and a psychological approach to portraiture. Why I chose her? I'm inspired by the improvisational, intuitive quality of her mark making. Rather than faithfully reproducing an image, she uses portraiture to communicate feeling and lived experience. How I will apply her ideas by working more intuitively and allowing visible brushwork to remain, focusing on conveying emotion instead of photographic accuracy, and the use of expressive marks to reinforce the personality of the figure. Here are some examples of Chantal Joffe's work. The next artist is Jordan Castile. Some key characteristics include large-scale figurative portraits celebrating humanity and community, vibrant color and intimate depictions of everyday life, unexpected cropping and dynamic compositions, themes of identity, vulnerability, and belonging. Why I chose her? I'm inspired by the humanity and individuality she captures in her subjects. Her unexpected cropping and vibrant color transform ordinary moments into compelling narratives. How I will apply her ideas? By experimenting with unconventional cropping to create engaging compositions, use color to strengthen emotional impact, focus on portraying authentic human experiences. And here are some more examples of Jordan Castile's work. Then I have Pamela Fatsimo Sundstrom. Some key characteristics include multidisciplinary practice combining painting, drawing, installation, and animation, the blending of historical, literary, and mythical references in cinematic narratives, integrating graphite with paint and works across multiple panels, creating landscapes that feel both futuristic and ancient. Why I chose her? I'm drawn to the cinematic quality of her compositions, the nostalgic feeling created by her muted color palette, and her layered use of mixed media. Her combination of graphite and paint create rich visual depth and a sense of history. How I will apply her ideas? By experimenting with combining drawing and painting within a single work, exploring multi-panel compositions with layered surfaces, and developing narrative imagery using atmosphere, symbolism, and a varied level of finish. Here are some examples of Pamela's work. And then I have 3 additional innovative figure artists, which include Vic Muniz, Kara Walker, and Tammy Beldew. Vic Muniz is one of my favorite artists. He works in unconventional materials such as chocolate, sugar, trash, wire, dust, and magazine clippings. He creates photographs from the completed works and then explores perception, memory, and construction of images. Why I chose him is because his experimental approach expands the definition of drawing and painting. I appreciate how he transforms ordinary materials into meaningful, recognizable images, and his work encourages viewers to look beyond the surface. How I plan to implement his ideas: by experimenting with layered surfaces and mixed media, think more conceptually about the relationship between the materials and meaning, and explore how physical process of making an image can support its concept. Here are some images from Vic Muniz. The first one is from the series Pictures of Trash. And this one is the Gypsy Magna. And then I have another one from the series Pictures of Junk, which is, I have the wrong caption on that. Whoops. This one is Leda and the Swan after Leonardo da Vinci. And this one is also created out of found junk. And the last one is a self-portrait that was done by collaging bits of photographs. Then we have Kara Walker, who uses silhouettes, drawings, and installations to explore race, identity, history, gender, and power. Combines simplified forms with complex narratives and symbolism, creates striking works that encourage critical reflection. Why I chose her is because I admire her ability to communicate powerful ideas through simple visual language. Her work demonstrates how the figure can tell layered, meaningful stories, and she uses symbolism in ways that are both direct and thought-provoking. How I plan to implement her ideas: by incorporating more symbolic elements into my compositions, using gesture and composition to communicate ideas beyond literal representation, and thinking more intentionally about how figures can convey narrative and emotional depth. Here are some examples of Kara Walker's work. The one on the left is Prince McVie and Turner Blasphemies. That one's a video that was created using paper cutouts. And the one on the right is A Subtlety or the Marvelous Sugar Baby. And that one is a gigantic figure created from sugar. And then finally, I have Tammy Beldew. The key characteristics include creating figurative works that balance recognizable subjects with an exploration of artistic process, combining drawing, mixed media, and encaustic to create layered surfaces with depth and texture, using unfinished and shifting spaces that blur the line between realism and abstraction, and encourages viewers to move closer and farther away, revealing different layers of clarity and perception. Why I chose her: I'm drawn to the way she embraces the painting and drawing process rather than hiding it. Her layered surfaces and visible marks resonate with my interest in creating figures that reflect change, memory, and lived experience. I appreciate her work, how it balances representation with abstraction, allowing the figure to feel both familiar and fluid. And then how I plan to implement her ideas: leaving evidence of the creative process by allowing sketch marks and earlier layers to remain visible, building figures through multiple transparent and opaque layers to create depth and movement, and the exploration of abstraction without losing the presence of the figure. And I actually was able to see Artist Talk with Tammy Beldew. She was artist in residence here, and I took my students on a field trip to see her work. And she's really incredible. She does this process where she does drawing and painting, and then she covers with wax, and then she scratches away and melts away some of the wax to reveal more or less detail. So I really appreciate her process as well. And that concludes, here's some examples of her work, and that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for viewing my video, and I look forward to feedback and seeing everyone else's. Thanks.